You've been lied to about Asian desserts your entire life. While Americans are dumping sugar into everything until it tastes like candy, Asian cultures have mastered something we completely missed. And I'm not talking about some trendy, not too sweet Instagram meme here. I'm talking about actual science that proves people of Asian descent literally taste sugar more intensely than the rest of us. That's right, what tastes perfectly sweet to you might be overwhelming to someone else. But here's where it gets wild. This isn't just biology. We're talking about centuries of culinary philosophy that treats dessert as harmony, not a sugar assault on your taste buds. Today, I'm taking you on a journey through 5 Asian desserts that will completely destroy everything you thought you knew about sweets. From Japan's red miso olive oil cake that somehow makes fermented soybeans work in dessert, to Taiwan's IU jelly made from fig seeds that can be served scalding hot or ice cold. And by the end of this video, you're going to realize that maybe, just maybe, we've been doing dessert completely wrong this whole time. Welcome back to Noodle and Fork. I'm about to blow your mind with desserts that prove American sweets are basically edible sugar bombs masquerading as food. But first, if you're ready to have your food assumptions completely shattered, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications because I'm serving up food truths that'll change how you see your kitchen forever. Here's the bombshell science that flips everything upside down. Researchers at the University of Nottingham discovered that people of different ethnic backgrounds don't just prefer different levels of sweetness. They literally experience sweetness differently at a biological level. Asian populations showed significantly heightened sensitivity to sweet compounds. This means a dessert that tastes just right to most Americans would taste sickeningly sweet to many Asians. But wait, it gets better. For centuries, refined sugar was rare and expensive across most of Asia. While Europeans were building sugar empires and rotting their teeth, Asian cuisines evolved around natural sweeteners. Sweet potato, red beans, even corn became dessert when you're not drowning everything in processed white crystals. The result? Asian desserts treat sweetness like a master chef treats salt, as an enhancer, not the main event. Meanwhile, American desserts often taste like sugar with a vague hint of whatever flavor is printed on the package. This created 2 completely different dessert philosophies. Americans: how much sugar can we cram in here? Asians: how can we create something that satisfies without overwhelming? Guess which approach creates more interesting food? Let's start with Japan's most mind-bending creation, red miso olive oil cake. Yes, fermented soybean paste in cake. And before you make that face, hear me out. Picture this. You take a bite expecting something weird, and instead your brain short circuits because it can't figure out why this tastes so incredibly good. The miso brings umami, that savory fifth taste that makes your mouth water. But here's the genius part. In dessert, umami doesn't fight sweetness. It amplifies it. The saltiness makes the sweet taste sweeter. The fermented complexity adds layers that sugar alone could never achieve. It's like the most sophisticated salted caramel you've ever had, but with this deep, almost meaty richness that keeps revealing new flavors with each bite. Japanese pastry chefs figured out that red miso, aged longer and deeper than white miso, creates this incredible caramel-like depth when combined with olive oil and just enough sugar to balance everything out. The result tastes like what would happen if umami and sweetness had a baby and raised it in a Michelin-starred kitchen. This isn't some modern fusion experiment either. Japanese cuisine has been mixing sweet and savory for centuries because it never bought into the Western idea that dessert has to be separate from the rest of the meal. Now, let's talk about black sesame pudding, the dessert that proves Americans have been sleeping on one of the world's most perfect flavors. Black sesame tastes like if chocolate and peanut butter had a sophisticated older sibling who studied abroad and came back with better taste. It's nutty, rich, almost chocolatey, but with this earthy complexity that's impossible to describe until you've experienced it. Here's what blew my mind when I first tried authentic black sesame pudding. The texture is silky perfection, somewhere between pudding and custard. But the flavor? It's so naturally rich and satisfying that you don't need much sugar to make it taste like dessert. Chinese cooks figured out that black sesame is already so flavorful. Adding tons of sugar would be like putting ketchup on Wagyu beef. A little sweetness goes a long way when your base ingredient has this much natural depth. Compare that to American puddings, which are essentially sugar and cornstarch with artificial flavoring. We're literally consuming sweet slime while calling it dessert. But here's the kicker. In Chinese medicine, black sesame is regarded as a superfood that strengthens bones and improves circulation. Thus, you're enjoying dessert that actually makes you healthier instead of sending you into a sugar coma. Korean injolmi just destroyed everything I thought I knew about what dessert should be. These chewy rice cakes covered in soybean powder create what Koreans call Q, that perfect bouncy, chewy texture that's borderline addictive. The genius lies in the simplicity. Glutinous rice is pounded until it transforms into this incredibly elastic, chewy mass. Then it's dusted with roasted soybean powder, which adds nutty sweetness and prevents sticking. That's all. No frosting, no filling, no sugar overload. But here's the brilliant part. The chewiness forces you to eat slowly. You can't inhale injolmi the way you might a cookie or candy bar. Each piece requires real chewing, which gives your brain time to register satisfaction before you've eaten half the container. Korean culture has elevated this chewy texture to an art form. They have dozens of rice cake varieties, each with different textures and coatings. Sesame powder, crushed nuts, even flower petals. The point isn't to overwhelm with sweetness, it's to create an experience that engages all your senses. This is dessert as meditation, not medication for your sugar addiction. Now for something that sounds completely made up, Taiwan's IU jelly, made from seeds of a fig that only grows in Taiwan's mountains. This might be the most unique dessert ingredient you've never heard of. Here's where it gets weird. IU seeds contain natural pectin that, when rubbed in water, creates this crystal clear jelly with the most incredible refreshing texture. It's like eating flavored water that somehow has substance. The jelly itself is almost flavorless, making it the perfect canvas for other ingredients. But wait, it gets weirder. IU jelly can be served hot or cold, sweet or savory. Summer, ice cold with lemon and honey. Winter, warm with ginger syrup. Some vendors serve it with condensed milk or fresh fruit. It's like the chameleon of desserts. The beauty is that it's basically calorie-free. The jelly has almost no calories. All the flavor comes from what you add. It's nature's version of sugar-free Jell-O, except it actually tastes good and has this incredible, almost bouncy texture that's nothing like the artificial stuff we're used to. This is what happens when you let nature do the work instead of trying to engineer everything in a lab. Finally, Thailand's mango sticky rice. Proof that when you understand balance, you can create magic with the simplest ingredients. This isn't just fruit with rice. This is a masterclass in how flavors should work together. The sticky rice is cooked in coconut milk with just enough sugar and salt to create this creamy, rich base that's sweet but not cloying. The mango provides natural sweetness and acidity that cuts through the coconut richness. Then everything gets finished with more coconut cream, and sometimes toasted mung beans for crunch. Each component enhances the others. The rice provides substance. The mango adds brightness. The coconut cream ties everything together. And that tiny bit of salt makes all the other flavors pop like they're performing on stage. This is dessert as a complete experience, not just a sugar delivery system. You get multiple textures, complementary flavors, and ingredients that actually taste like what they're supposed to be instead of artificial approximations. Here's what Americans are missing. Dessert doesn't have to be a sugar bomb that leaves you feeling guilty and crashing an hour later. Asian cultures cracked the code on creating satisfying, delicious sweets that enhance a meal instead of overwhelming it. These desserts prove that when you start with quality ingredients and focus on balance instead of just sweetness, you create something infinitely more interesting than another chocolate chip cookie. Maybe it's time we stop treating dessert like the enemy and started treating it like what it should be, the perfect ending to a great meal. Suppose you're fascinated by how different cultures completely revolutionize food. In that case, you absolutely need to watch my deep dive into how a simple Thai chili sauce became a billion-dollar empire without spending a single dollar on advertising. The story of sriracha's rise from a Vietnamese refugee's van to global phenomenon involves serious food politics, corporate betrayal, and a flavor that changed everything. Click here to watch that next, and don't forget to subscribe for more food stories that'll completely change how you see your kitchen.